I turned 45 today. Thought maybe I'd finally get a little peace or at least a burger with the guys after work. Instead, I get a text from my old man. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? They always made it look normal from the outside. White siding, trimmed hedges, a flag on the porch. Just a regular house outside Milwaukee. But inside, it was Dennis's kingdom. My old man didn't raise a family. He ran a factory. Orders went down. No questions came back up. He started his own HVAC outfit in the late 80s. Small jobs at first. Duplexes, mom and pop stores, then bigger contracts. He built it with grit, sure. But the man thought hard work gave him the right to control everything and everyone. Mom, Carla. She wasn't weak. She was tired. Spent most of her energy walking on eggshells to keep the house quiet. Dennis yelled. She disappeared. Sometimes she'd mouth, "Stop," at me across the room when I pushed back. She didn't want fights. She wanted calm, or at least the illusion of it. Then came Travis. I was 7 when he was born. Little guy, all soft curls and squeaky laughs. They doted on him like he was some miracle baby. By the time I was mowing lawns and hauling scrap metal for cash, Travis was getting a new bike just because he said the old one squeaked. That pattern never broke. At 16, I worked part-time at a garage after school. Saved every damn dollar. Paid half on my first truck, a rusted-out Chevy that barely ran in winter. But I was proud of it. I fixed it up with busted knuckles and late nights. Travis, he wrecked his hand-me-down at 19, texting while speeding. Dad bought him another one within a week. New tires, too. When it came time for trade school, I asked if they could help cover tuition. Dennis looked me dead in the face and said, "Real men pay their own way." So I took out loans, ate peanut butter sandwiches for a year. When Travis went to college, switched majors 3 times, dropped out, went back, Dad wrote the checks. Everyone finds their path, he'd say. Bullshit. I started taking jobs out of state, construction mostly. Summers in Indiana, winters in Illinois. Long hours, good pay, quiet motels. It gave me space. I met my ex-wife during a job in Springfield. We were young, rushed into it, didn't last. Divorced at 40. Moved back in with Dennis and Carla because I didn't have a better option. I told myself it was just for a few months. Save money, regroup, get back on my feet. Took a spot at a local shop. Not flashy work, but steady. Oil changes, brake jobs, the occasional full engine swap. I kept my head down and saved everything. Skipped nights out, packed lunches, lived cheap. My only real investment, a full tool set, nearly $2,000 worth. Wrenches, impact guns, a diagnostic reader, the works. All bought piece by piece off sales and side job cash. Those tools weren't just for work. They were the ticket out. Word got around. I picked up small gigs, brake pads in driveways, alternator swaps in parking lots. Every weekend I was booked. It was growing. I figured if I kept at it, I'd be able to afford a used F-150 by spring and maybe rent a spot to start a mobile service. Nothing big, just mine. Travis, meanwhile, was back in school again. Some IT program at a tech college, still figuring it out at 38, living at home, barely working. Yet every time he needed something, the family scrambled to make it happen. Laptop dies, replace it. Behind on tuition? Cut a check. Needs gas money? Here's $100. I asked once, when's he gonna pull his weight? Dad shot back, he's got potential. And I didn't. I learned a long time ago that in my family being the oldest didn't mean leadership or respect. It meant responsibility. It meant sacrifice. You give, he takes. But I let it slide. I kept working, kept saving. I thought if I stayed focused and quiet, I could carve my own way out without lighting any fires. Turned out, they were willing to burn it all down themselves, just to keep him floating. The birthday started like any other damn Wednesday. I worked the early shift at the shop, oil changes and a transmission flush by lunch. Figured maybe we'd grill out later. Maybe Dad would grab a six-pack or at least say something half decent like, "Glad you're still breathing." Instead, I get blindsided. I'm halfway through eating a gas station sandwich in the break room when my phone buzzes. Soldier tools. Your brother needs a new laptop. Family helps family. I read it twice. Couldn't move. Couldn't chew. Just sat there, phone in one hand, sandwich in the other, trying to process what the hell I was looking at. I called him right away, straight to voicemail, texted back, "What are you talking about?" 5 minutes later, he replies, "Should have locked them up better. Don't leave valuables in shared spaces." That was the moment I knew he didn't just sell them. He planned it. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. Then came the real slap. Transfer $4,200 by Friday for Travis's tuition. He's behind that number hit harder than the tool sale. That was everything I had. Every extra shift, every skipped lunch, every night I stayed home instead of going out. I'd been grinding to get a used F-150, buy into mobile mechanic work, my own setup finally. I was this close. I texted back, "No chance." He shot back instantly. "Then you're out." Just like that. 45 years old and getting evicted over refusing to fund my brother's fourth attempt at college. I called Mom. She picked up, soft voice like she always used when she knew he was wrong, but wouldn't say it. "Honey, just try not to upset Travis right now. He's stressed about finals. He's 38, Mom. And I'm out $2,000 in tools. Maybe you can use the shop's tools for now? Let's not make this a big thing." I hung up. By the time I got home, no one said a word to me, not even a happy birthday. I sat down, looked around the table, and said, "I'm not giving you the money, and I want to be paid back for the tools." Silence. Then Dad dropped the knife on the plate with a loud clank and slammed his hand on the table hard enough to rattle the glasses. "You live under my roof. You owe this family. You think you're too good to help your brother now? I think I've helped enough." He stood up. "You ungrateful little shit. I gave you a place to stay." "Yeah, and you took my future in return." Travis finally looked up. "You're overreacting, man. It's just tools." I turned to him. "You ever bought anything with your own money, Travis? Anything at all?" He blinked like I slapped him. Dad pointed at the door. "If you can't act like family, then get the hell out." I stood, calm, clear. "I'm done." And I walked out. Didn't touch my plate. Didn't say another word. Just stepped outside into the cool night air, closed the door behind me, and sat in my car until my hands stopped shaking. They didn't get it. They never would. But I did. I saw them for exactly who they were. I went back inside without a word. Headed straight upstairs, shut the door, and locked it. The walls were thin, but I didn't hear a sound from downstairs. Not even the clink of dishes. That told me everything. They weren't shocked. They weren't sorry. They'd made their move. I was making mine. I started packing. Tossed jeans, work shirts, socks into my duffel. Grabbed my boots, my charger, the glove I use for brake jobs. Left anything they ever paid for. Even the extra blanket Mom gave me last winter. Didn't want a single thing they could say I owed them for. Found my backup drive in the bottom drawer, plugged it in, held my breath. Yep. Side gig invoices, old client contacts, VIN records, receipts. Not everything, but enough. I sat on the floor, ran the numbers in my head. About $5,000 left in savings, give or take. Next paycheck in 12 days. If I stretched it, real tight. That might carry me through a couple months. Rent, gas, groceries, maybe another cheap wrench set if I found one used. But it was going to be close. I pulled out my phone and texted Joel, a buddy from high school I hadn't seen in a while, but knew I could trust. "Got a room?" 10 minutes later, he replied, "Couch is yours for now." That was enough. I grabbed a scrap of paper and wrote, "Not cutting family off. Just not being used anymore. I'll reach out when I'm set." Left it on the kitchen counter. Didn't sign it. Didn't need to. By 3 a.m., everything I owned fit in the back of my Civic. 2 duffels, a crate of shop manuals, and a paper bag with toiletries. I stood in the driveway, one hand on the hood, just looking at the house, all dark except for the porch light still buzzing overhead. The same light I'd fixed last summer while Travis played video games inside. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel sad. I felt clear. I got in, started the engine, and drove out. Slow. Quiet. No music, no stops. Didn't even glance in the rearview mirror. By the time the sun came up, I was halfway across town, parked outside Joel's place. No one called, no one followed. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I owed anybody anything. Joel didn't say a word when I showed up with bags under my eyes and everything I owned stuffed in my back seat. Just opened the door, gave me a quick nod, and handed me a cold beer. I sat on his couch, took a long sip, and let the quiet settle. No lectures, no guilt trips, no questions. Just space to breathe. Next morning, I told my boss the truth. Tools were gone, sold out from under me, but I could borrow from the shop for now. He didn't press, just said, "Don't let it screw with your work." I didn't plan to. Spent the next 2 nights scrolling job boards, sending messages, making calls. By Saturday, I picked up weekend hours at a tire shop, $14 an hour, plus tips if I hustled. Wasn't glamorous, but it helped. 2 jobs, no safety net. Every dollar mattered. Then the calls started. Dad blew up my phone daily. Voicemails stacked up like junk mail. "Grow up. You're acting like a child. You made your point. Now, come back and fix it. You think you're better than your own family?" I didn't respond. Then came Aunt Linda. She always played peacemaker, thought a soft tone could cover a sharp message. "Your dad's heart can't take this," she texted. "He's not well. Just come home. Be the bigger man." I almost laughed. They didn't care when they took my tools, didn't blink when they tried draining my account. But now I was the villain for walking away? Travis messaged next. "Can't believe you're bailing on me, man." I stared at the screen a long second before replying. "You're 38. Pay your own tuition." No answer after that. It was Joel who finally told me what was really going on. We were catching a game on his tiny kitchen TV. He cracked open a beer and said, "Heard your dad's company has been struggling. Buddy of mine used to sub for him. Said he laid off half his guys last month." I sat back. Let that settle. So, that's what it was. He couldn't cover Travis anymore, couldn't keep the machine going. So he came for my savings, my gear, my future. Instead of owning it, he tried to mask it with guilt. He didn't ask for help. He demanded it. Week 3, Joel's roommate bailed. New job in Denver or some crap like that. Joel looked at me and said, "Room's yours if you want it. $500 a month." Wasn't ideal, but it beat the couch. I took it. I budgeted like I was still flat broke. Packed lunches, filled up only when gas dropped below $3 a gallon. Skipped beers unless Joel insisted. Bought off-brand cereal and 20-cent ramen. It wasn't fun, but it was mine. My space. My grind. Still didn't know how the hell I'd replace the tools, though. The cheap stuff at the tire shop helped. But I couldn't do side gigs without a full set. No impact wrench, no torque gun, no jack, no income. Every time I saw a busted Honda in a parking lot or a Jeep with squeaky brakes, I itched to get under the hood. But I had nothing to work with, and not one person back home gave a damn. They didn't miss me. They missed what I could give. Wasn't even thinking about side gigs anymore, just trying to stay afloat. Then I got a call out of nowhere. Daryl, older guy I knew from a job site 2 years back. Solid dude. Used to haul HVAC systems with me in the freezing rain. Never bitched once. "Hey," he said, "you still doing brake work?" "Used to," I said. "Don't have my tools anymore. Got a guy needs a full rebuild. Pays $300. I got a spare kit if you want it." I hesitated. That job would take 4 hours easy, maybe more if the calipers were frozen. But $300 wasn't nothing. "I'll take it." He dropped the tools off the same afternoon. Nothing fancy, chipped handles, mismatched sockets, but everything I needed. I drove out to the guy's house that evening, set up in his driveway, and got to work. Didn't rush it. I went slow, double-checked everything, bled the lines like I was working on my own truck. By the time I handed him the keys, the guy said, "That's the smoothest my brakes have felt in years." I texted Daryl, "Job done. Thanks again." His reply came fast. Got 2 more guys asking, "You want 'em?" That was the break I didn't even realize I was waiting for. 1 job turned into 3. 3 into 5, all word of mouth. I kept Daryl's kit spotless, wiped down every tool before I gave it back. A week later, he called again. "You want to buy it?" I paused. "How much?" "400, he said. "Pay me in chunks." "I trust you." That stopped me for a second. Not because of the money, though 400 was still a stretch, but because of how casually he said it. No strings, no guilt, just respect. I said yes before he could change his mind. I picked up the tools that night, packed them into my trunk like they were gold bars. That backup kit wasn't perfect. Couple things missing, torquey wrench was sticky, but it was mine. That was the first time I felt like I had traction again. And that's right when Dad showed up. I was at the tire shop, halfway through rotating a set of worn-out Michelins, when I heard raised voices near the front counter. Didn't even have to look. I knew that voice. Dennis, loud and pissed. "You know what kind of son he is?" I heard him yell. "You know what he did to this family?" My manager, Steve, quiet guy but no pushover, came storming into the bay. "Hey," he said, "your old man's out front. You want me to call the cops, or you want to handle it?" I wiped my hands on a rag and shook my head. "I'm not going out there." He nodded once, walked back toward the front, and 10 seconds later, I heard the door slam and his boots coming back. "He's gone," Steve said. "Don't let that crap follow you here." I just looked at him. "I won't," I said. "Not anymore." He patted my shoulder once and walked off. And that was that. My old man could rant and scream all he wanted. But he didn't own me anymore. I had work to do, tools to rebuild, and people in my corner who actually gave a damn. Thanksgiving came fast. I had no plans to show up at their house, no interest in smiling through turkey with the same people who sold me out. But then Grandma called. "Just stop by," she said. "1 plate, for me. You don't have to stay." I couldn't say no to her. She was the only one who didn't pick sides when everything blew up, always checked in, never judged, so I went. Dressed plain. Brought a pie from the corner bakery and kept my jacket on. The minute I stepped inside, I could feel it, that tight, fake energy. The kind of smile people wear when they've got something to hide. Mom gave me a soft hug. Didn't say much. Dad was carving turkey like he'd practiced the pose. He looked up once and said, "Still chasing that lone wolf dream?" I didn't answer. Just set the pie on the counter and walked into the living room. Travis showed up late, as usual, walked in with a fresh haircut, new sneakers, and a shiny MacBook under his arm. He sat down next to me like nothing ever happened. Didn't say a word about the laptop. Definitely didn't mention tuition. I kept the visit short. Ate, said hi to Grandma, hugged her twice. Was gone in under an hour. But that MacBook stuck with me, brand new, top of the line. That night, I made a call. Buddy of mine worked admin at the tech college, used to do side work with me before he went back to school. "Hey," I said, "can you check something for me?" He pulled up Travis's file without blinking. "Paid in full since August," he said. "He's good through next semester." I hung up and just sat there staring at the wall. So that $4,000 Dad demanded from me, total lie. They didn't need the money, they wanted it. Probably to keep up appearances, pay off some debt, fund Travis's new toys. Next morning, I posted a note on Facebook. No names, just facts. Sometimes family tries to drain your savings using a lie. I walked away. Best decision I've ever made, didn't take long for the fallout. Travis messaged me, "Can't believe you went public like that." I replied, "Can't believe you lied." Silence. Then Aunt Linda called. Voice low, like she didn't want anyone to hear. "You did the right thing," she said. "I am proud of you for standing up." Next week, I got an envelope in the mail, handwritten return address, Grandma. Inside was a check for $1,000, folded with a note that said, "Spend it on tools. Nobody should take away what you built." I stared at it for a full minute, not because of the money, though it helped, but because someone finally saw the whole thing for what it was. Not just a fight, not just a grudge, a theft. They tried to take what I had earned, built, and planned for, and then tried to shame me for refusing. But not her. She didn't ask me to come back. She didn't say forgive and forget. She said, keep building. So I did. I took Grandma's check straight to the bank, pulled out cash, and drove to the tool outlet before I could second guess myself. Walked out with a torquey wrench, cordless impact gun, jack stands, and a new creeper. Daryl helped me fill in the rest with some of his extras. Between his loaner set and the stuff I replaced, I was finally back up to speed. Maybe not perfect, but good enough to take any side gig that came my way. And they did. By January, I had regulars calling every weekend. Brake jobs, alternators, wheel bearings. One guy even brought his whole fleet of pest control vans. Word spread fast. Guy shows up, gets it done, doesn't charge stupid prices. That's all I ever wanted. At the shop, I kept grinding. First one in, last one out. No drama, no slack. One morning, Steve pulled me into the office. "Been watching you," he said. "You show up, you do good work, you handle your business." I didn't say anything, just waited. "I'm offering you a lead role, better pay. You'd oversee the floor." Some days I nodded. "I'll take it." Same day I called the tire shop and gave notice. Told them I appreciated the hours, but it was time to move on. Replaced it with more freelance work that paid double. For the first time in a long damn while, I wasn't just surviving, I was moving forward. Then came a text from Travis. "Didn't know Dad lied, wasn't trying to screw you." I stared at it for a while, not angry, just done. I typed back, "It's done, but I'm done being the bank." He left it at that. Mom started calling a little more often too, not with guilt, just to talk. Ask how work was going. Sometimes tell me about a show she watched. She never pushed for a visit or said, "Come home." I appreciated that. It was the first time I felt like she saw me as a person, not just someone to keep the peace. Christmas rolled around, and I figured I'd stop by. Nothing fancy, just an hour, say hi to Grandma, eat a plate, leave before anyone got nostalgic. Dad answered the door. Same stiff posture, same heavy silence. He didn't say sorry, not once. Just looked me over and asked, "You doing okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, doing fine." He gave a quick nod back and stepped aside to let me in. That was it. That was the whole exchange. And honestly, that was enough. I wasn't there for closure. I wasn't chasing apologies anymore. I was building something of my own. A few weeks later, I found a guy through Joel's friend circle who had a half-rented garage with a lift. He was moving his operation to the other side of town and needed someone to split the rent. $450 a month, he said. You get one bay and the lift half the week. I took it on the spot, moved in the next weekend, hung my tools on a pegboard, bought a space heater, and put my name on a little sign above the roll-up door. Mitch's Mobile and garage, nothing fancy. Just black stencils on white paint. But every bolt, every wrench, every piece of that place, I earned. Clients started asking if they could drop their cars off instead of me coming to them. I said sure. Started booking out 2 weeks in advance. No loans, no handouts, no drama. Just work I was proud of. And peace I didn't have to beg for. I turned 46 with a cold beer in one hand and a ribeye sizzling off the grill. Joel manned the tongs, Daryl brought bourbon, and we ate right there in the garage. Fold-out chairs, tool chests as tables, football on a dusty old radio. Nothing fancy, just mine, my little corner of freedom. The lift creaked a bit, the heater buzzed loud, and I still hadn't fixed the leak by the roll-up door. But I didn't care. I had 6 jobs lined up for the weekend, a small book of clients, and more referrals than I could keep up with. That night, my phone buzzed. Message from Mom. "Proud of you." Your dad is too, even if he won't say it. I stared at it for a second, then typed back, "Thanks. Hope you both are well." That was it. Clean. Simple. No extra words to smooth anything over. I set the phone down and looked around. Sockets lined up, torquey wrenches hanging in their place, breaker bars, jacks. Everything bought with my money, my time, my grind. Every single wrench in that garage was mine. Nobody could take it from me. Not again. That tool set they sold, that was just the spark. The real theft was my time, my effort, my peace, all sacrificed for some idea of loyalty that only worked one direction. But I stopped waiting for things to balance. I drew the line, and I held it. If you're listening to this, and you're the one always giving, always picking up the slack, always the fallback plan, I'm telling you now, stop. You're not selfish for walking away. You're not cold for choosing peace. You're surviving. I don't hate my family. I just don't let them run my life anymore. They made their choices. I made mine. And this little garage, it may be small, may be loud, may have busted insulation and no AC, but it's mine. Every bolt, every drop of sweat in the concrete, every job that rolls through that door, mine. So if you're in the same boat, tired, cornered, stuck, set the damn line, hold it, and build something that's yours. You'll be surprised how damn good it feels.